Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy MKS here, back here with another video. Apologies to anyone watching on YouTube again. I still seem to be having that problem. I don't know if it's a YouTube technical issue, as I mentioned recently, but the screen, as far as I'm seeing it anyway, it looks black for some reason. So I can't see anything. So I don't know if people watching can see. I hope you can, but apologies if it's just a black screen. But anyway, I suppose the main point of these videos in this case is the message of the video. So I hope people who are interested in supporting and empowering people from across Africa will check out these videos, and as I often say, if and when they do get monetized, in this case I would love to donate to African countries to help their entrepreneurs and help them in tech and provide things like tech training opportunities, and encourage investment into Africa and that kind of thing, and mainly support African unity. And these are, in these videos, I suppose the main thing I'm looking at is what will help Africa to unite, and what I would love for the AU, i.e. African Union, to sort of work towards, which is like unity, education, cooperation, peace, prosperity, increased tourism, opportunities in STEM and other fields and things like that. And yeah, also on YouTube, I tried to do a thumbnail with my cats, but before it's really difficult. Like when I try and they were climbing on my shoulder and like trying to get some fuss and all that. But then as soon as I went to upload the thumbnail, for some reason, it's really, they distract me when I try and do the title, but when I go to do the thumbnail, they run away. So it's quite frustrating. It's a bit of like Sod's Law or whatever. But anyway, back to the topic of the video. I did manage to try and grab one of my cats and put him in the thumbnail. But anyway, these are ideas, pointers, thoughts, plans, goals, aims, objectives, dreams, or whatever you want to call them, and that kind of thing. Number 11 to 20. So here goes. So number 11, I'd love to hear from and read from people across Africa about what they would like to see change within the continent, what they think the continent could do to improve in terms of individual countries and as a continent, and also how to support African entrepreneurs, ideas people, inventors, investors, and that kind of thing, and just generally support and empower Africa, and what are the best areas and fields to empower Africa in. One of the things I was going to say is, because today is the 26th, which is a number I think of for some reason, where I think of like anti-imperialism. So I thought it'd be an apt day to restart this video, as I didn't get around to finishing it before. But yeah, so I'd love to know what sort of things Africa could do to improve and change, and that kind of thing. Number 12, also how they could like be mentors, role models, teachers, trainers, and volunteers and that kind of thing for each other. People from the diaspora could perhaps go and visit parts of Africa and like talk about advice for helping African countries and connect with their roots. Maybe people from America, the UK, and around the world could perhaps find out, members of the black community from Britain and elsewhere, America, as I say, and elsewhere, could find out which part of Africa their ancestry originates from, and support each other. And maybe there could even be like a black network around the world, so people of African and or Australasian descent could work together to help each other in tech and other fields. And as I say, also looking at motivational stories from Africa, like Wode Maya, however you pronounce his name, often does, like the Africa you don't see on TV and that kind of thing. Number 13, I suppose I often think, generally speaking, if you see my other videos, I do have a habit of repeating myself, and I do fear that I do for the number 13, I often, because certain numbers remind me of certain things, and I often think of it as a negative or an unlucky number, and a negative / unlucky number. So I was thinking, what are some negative things about Africa as well, I suppose, from the negative point of view, and reading about and listening to alternative views, those who perhaps are against who are imperialists, maybe even, and against reparations and things like that. So the number 26, I suppose, makes me think of anti-imperialism, but also like reparations and like the case for and against and for, whichever order you want to put it in. Such. Number 14, what are the ways the African Union can support the solving of problems? I'd love to look into that as well. Like, how could they solve problems facing Africa? And again, I know that I repeat that one for the number 14, as it reminds me of problem solving, just as the number 13 reminds me of problems and negatives and things like that. So yeah, how can they solve problems together? How can they work on those sorts of things? Like for instance, say providing access to technology and training, PCs, laptops, mobile phones, tech opportunities, and also opportunities in science. I would say STEM generally: science, tech, engineering, maths, and possibly other areas which are potential areas of empowerment, like business and learning how to run a business and things like that, and how they can network together and promote African products around the world. And hopefully people around the world who want to see Africa do well, even from Britain, America, and elsewhere, people from the diaspora, perhaps other people of colour, or just generally anti-imperialists, supporting African projects and helping them to sell their products around the world. Number 15, I would love to know about ambitions of different African countries, how they want to grow their economies. Like, for instance, India, I know that's in Asia, obviously, but as an example, wants to become a $10 trillion economy by 2030 or something like that. So I'd love to know what countries like Kenya and other parts of Africa want to achieve, say by 2030 or whatever, and how they think they could achieve that, and what African countries could learn from each other, again, how they can network together, how being united could help. Because for me, being united means that you can work together, rather than the divisions and civil wars and things like that, also called civil wars. As I say, there's nothing civil about war. So they could build and grow things rather than destroy things and things like that. But as ever, I'd love to know what you think about each of these points. Number 16, on that note, what are the best ways to empower Africa? And as I say, I'd love for the African Union, I think I meant to say this in the intro, but I'd love for the African Union to host so many different events, have so many different buildings across Central Africa, especially, as I say, symbolically, and invite all the possible heads of all 54 or 55 African countries, and maybe some of the delegates as well, and people like that, politicians, delegates, business people, and whatnot, and as many people as they can fit to sort of talk about ways to empower Africa, sort of ideas that could be used to empower Africa, like how to tackle divisions, how people can agree to disagree, or talk about what they want to see, and how they can work together to achieve the Africa many people want to see. So yeah, being united and working together to empower each other. And also, I'd love to look into things like human rights, animal rights, freedoms, libertarianism, sports, and politics, and all sorts of issues in Africa. I'd love for there to be a committee, think tank, brainstorm, cooperative network, or whatever you want to call it. Basically, a group of people that come together to discuss what are the best ways to empower Africa and its citizens, obviously. So the residents across Africa, and again, even connecting those from the diaspora, maybe they could be invited as well to come and offer their ideas about what the continent can do to improve, and they could learn about the continent and look at how to unite Black and Sugar African people, including Australasians, Indigenous Australasians, together. Number 17, it'd be amazing to see what Africa could achieve, and I'm sure they could achieve a lot of things as a continent by working together and being united. Perhaps this is the best time for African countries to unite, just as European countries are like sort of a bit of that. So maybe it's a good time for African countries to take advantage, and I think they could build a lot of great stuff together, again, working together in STEM, artificial intelligence, AI, and things like that. And educating each other on what they know, and again, selling African products all around the world. Number 18, once again, like success stories and positive stories, like Wode Maya and those two, especially Wode Maya. And I think people like him should be seen as heroes, and like given the freedom of the city and the freedom of the country, and so many different, or even the freedom of the continent, perhaps, across Africa. So like, sort of to honor people like that who benefit the continent. I think like he was traveling somewhere and he got arrested and stuff like that, and people say if he's trying to promote the continent in a positive way, why would they treat him that way, and how they treat how do they treat each other generally, and how do they treat other people. So I think it'd be cool if they treat each other well, and again, united. Number 19, including, as they helping each other in software development, AI, artificial intelligence, and STEM generally. And number 20, I think the older generations can pass on their skills, knowledge, expertise, experiences, and things like that. And as ever, I'd love to read and hear your comments, and any suggestions you have on how to build unity, how to promote African products and projects all around the world, and encourage investment and all sorts of things like that. And especially from those obviously who support Africa. And I'm out.